Okay, so in this video, we're going to look at for loops. And there's many exercises I could go over, but I think from my experience of teaching and what you need to do in high schools, this is probably all you're going to need. Okay, so for I in range, let's do that. Let's start with that first. So for I in range, this just means how many times you want to do it. Okay, so that's going to loop 3 times for I in range, and then the number that you want it to do. All very easy. Let's say we did, what can we put? Let's print num out here. I've set num, and I'll just explain what happens once I do this. Equals num. Let's just say num plus 1, and we'll print num again. So I, it's just like a little robot that just says, okay, I come down here, I print this. I come down here, I add 1 to num. I come down here, I print num. Okay, so anything that's indented in this code will loop 3 times. If I wrote print that would also loop 3 times. If I put it here, it will print at the end once this loop is finished. Okay, and like I said, I is just going to iterate through things, through lists, so this problem, and give us the output. It doesn't have to be I. You can write Tom. Doesn't really matter. Okay, but you know, people use I, so that's what I'm going to use. Let's run that and have a look. There you go, loop completed. So if I put that in the actual indent, you can see that it includes it. Okay. So what actually happens here is num is 10. So we come here and num is 10. There it is. Num gets increased by 1 and then it's printed again. And there it is. But we've got 11 again here. That's because after the first loop through, it went back up and printed num again. Well, num is still 11, okay? And that's why that printed there. Then num increased to 12 and got printed. Num is still 12 here. As it goes back for the final loop, print num, which is still 12, add 1 to it, and then print it again, which is 13. Then it breaks out of this indent and prints the next line, okay? That's it, that's how it operates. So anything in this indent, the order you put it in, or whatever you want to do, gets executed line by however many times you tell it. Okay. Finding out how many items in the list. Okay, so let's say let's use I again for I in. Let's say for I in range, and let's say 0 to the length of animals. Because we use length, we're going to get an integer. So let's just print I and see what we get. Because I is attached to everything in that list now. So I is going to go cat, print it, dog, print it, otter, print it, pig, print it. That's what I is going to do. Actually, it won't print that because we're dealing with length. It will give us a number. So let's just take a look at that. And you can see here that it's just told us how many items are in that list. Okay. If you notice, everything is printed on a new line here. So let me print. Let me put a print. That just gives me a new line. Okay. If I actually copy that, I can show you how to do it a different way. Print, separate that and say end equals, and then what we want. So I'm going to put a gap there. Okay, let me print new line again because anything at the end of this will stick in this code. So print new line there as well. So now it should print on one line. There you go. And also, If I want to add a hyphen in there or something, you can do that. Okay, so that's two ways of printing out from a loop. Searching for a word, okay, and keep count. Okay, so let's, what we got, animals. Okay, so I'm not using range anymore for I in animals, which is the list up above. Okay, what do I want to do? Okay, so if I, which iterates through here, so it goes cat, dog, otter, pig. Okay, if I was going to, and notice these are separated off as words. If I was going to iterate through example here, it would go C O M P U T E R space like that. Okay. So for I in animals, if I, let's search for something. So let's say if I equals otter, and notice otter is a string, okay, and lowercase, like that, has to be the same. What do we want to do? Well, let's print I, if we find it, okay. And if we don't find it, we can say else, let's print not found. What's going to happen is we're going to go to the first one, cat. Is cat otter? Nope. Drop into this false block, print not found. Next one, is it dog? Nope. Drop into this false block, not found. Is it otter? Yes. Drop into the true block, print. I could print find. Let's print found. Okay. Let's see what that does for a sec. Not found, not found, found, not found. Correct. That's what it should do. And really, we didn't need that, did we? Because we found it. So what we can do is put a break statement in there. So when otter is found, it'll break out and won't include that last one. There you go. Okay. Oh, keep count. So what we can also do here is if I make a variable called counter, okay, so I'm going to count now where otter is in that list. And I'm not going to put it here because it's going to break out. So I'll put it, I think I can put it here is better. Counter equals counter plus 1. Okay, so that should keep track of it. And then once that loop is finished, if I wrote print, and I'm not going to use the variable, I'm going to type otter here. Otter is in position, and then I'm not going to concatenate here. I'm just going to put counter, okay, which is my counter. So let's have a look, see what happens. Otter is in position 2, which is correct because 0, 1, 2. Okay, so that's how we can keep track of something in a list. And then print it out at the end. Okay, so that's a nice little tip for you there. Let's append a list. Okay, so append a list. So let's make a list. Let's call it list names equals an empty list. So it's empty at the moment. And what can we do? Let's take an input then. So user equals input. Enter on name. Okay, now how many times do we want to do it? That's up to us, isn't it? For I, range 3 times. Okay, let's do whatever's in the indentation. Okay, so indent. Okay, and what do we want to do? So we're going to enter that name. And we're going to append it to this list. So we got an empty list. So we need to append whatever name we put in to this list. So let's say list names dot append. And what do we want to append? We want to append the user because the user holds the name each time it goes in. Okay. And not in the loop, outside of the loop, I'm going to print list names. Should do it. So let's run that. Let's stop that and put it in. Let's put a print line here. Again. Okay, so John, Ellie, Alice. there it prints our appended list. Okay. Now I said about how important lists were and how we use loops with them to do what I just did, populate a list or retrieve things from a list. Because you can sort that if you want now, okay, like I did in the previous video. And then once it's sorted, let's say we wanted to take the first two from there. There's a number of ways you can do that. Print list names, and the index, we could do 1 to 3, okay, and that will bring back our first two. Or I could say that, I could copy it, that, change that to 2, that, let's do it again. You can see we've got our populated list, and then I've returned back Phil, which is in position 1, and Alice, which is in position 2. Okay, you can slice, so we could take away that. I could say, let's just do 1 to 2. Let's run that. And that's going to give me Phil only, okay, because it starts in position 1, and remember it goes up to but doesn't include number 2. So those exercises there will allow you to do a lot and use them a lot in programs, okay? And I'll leave that there for you, and the next video I'm going to do will be on while loops. I'll see you in the next video.